All right. I want to film this video because if you've looked at the thumbnail, there's a good chance that you either didn't know that this could happen, or you're interested in learning out what other causes of power issues could be applicable to your layout. Now, this is going to apply to more permanent layouts. So the first thing we're going to do is turn the power on. And the easiest way to demonstrate this is to have a lighted car. So I have a lighted caboose, and as you can see, when we roll freely on this caboose, there's no issues. We have power. There's a little bit of flickering in the lighting here. I believe that's just because of the age of the caboose. But once we get this out of the way, so the problem is, if you have a permanent layout and you have screwed down your layout here, then if you over torque some of these sections, let's see if this will actually do it, because I've went back through and alright, that section's not gonna do it. We'll see here if I can get another section to do it. So it really depends on your setup. I think that might do it right there. Of course, now I can't get it to do it on camera. So I had went to the Spencer train show. Let's see if this side will do it now. Well, this is turning into a big fail. I think it's because I've already used the wood. Because my screws are 1 1/4 inch thick, I think, and now it's not grabbing onto the wood as much. But I was at the Spencer train show, and they had those, they've got those layouts that come in parts, and they had the track screwed down permanently to their layouts to make it easier to transport, and they were having an issue in a specific spot of the layout, and they were just having power loss in that one little spot. It was near a switch. I might try it over here with this switch. So I suggested to them, I said, hey, I happen to have an issue with my own layout not super long ago. Let's see if this will do it. No. Well, that's kind of annoying that I can't get the example on camera at this moment. I'll probably try again later in a different section of track that I either haven't over torqued or has room to over torque, so I can identify it. Some of the track has flexed down some, but I haven't lost connection. So I had it over there in that far corner where that sand and gravel and caboose coffee thing is, where that was the biggest section. I had one piece of track that was over torqued too far down, and it made that entire corner turn over there lose power. So if you've got your bus lines, if you've got appropriate power, you've done all the troubleshooting, you've taken off your engines, you've taken off any excess power that you don't need, like buildings and other lighted cars and stuff, and you still don't have power connection, and you have a permanent layout that you have screwed down to your base, make sure that those screws aren't over torqued. Anyway, back to the Spencer train story. So the Spencer train show that happened in, I think it was March, maybe it was May, where they were having this issue. I told the gentleman about it, and apparently it's not really well known, because I've just been in this hobby for 6 months, 7 months. So I learned this on my own, just trying to mess with my own track and figure out what the heck was causing power loss when there's no reason to have power loss. There's nothing pulling power on the track. And this is kind of a big layout, but it's not that big. I don't have bus lines. I don't have I just have the appropriate power for the types of engines that I want to run. And that was my part of my problem when I started adding stuff like this Y6B. So that usually is your first culprit. Like if you're running like a starter pack, you got into the hobby with a starter set, you haven't upgraded to a transformer. Maybe you did upgrade to a transformer, and it's only the 80 watt one. And then you start adding stuff like this, the Y6B. The same thing with your features. Like if some of your features aren't working and you just bought an engine, see what that engine pulls power-wise. You might just have too much power being pulled for some of the features to work itself. So I told the guy at the Spencer Train Show, I said, you know, I had this issue with my own layout where I had over-torqued some screws, and for whatever reason, that warping of the track, when you over-torque it, you can see it when you're doing it. It'll pull down into your material. You'll see it kind of crunch down and it's like almost like it's being sucked into the material because of the over-torquing, and it will warp slightly, and for whatever reason that causes loss of contact between, I believe is what's happening. It causes loss of contact between the track joiners here, which shouldn't really happen because of how these connections are made, but it does. It causes enough loss of contact that it causes problems. So if you're running, you know, your engine's working fine before a section of track and after a section of track, go ahead and look and see. The easiest way again to do it is just take a single lighted item, remove everything else out of the way, and just take your lighted item and scroll it along your piece of track and see if you're losing power in that specific area. I mean, that was the easiest way for me. You can start messing with like voltmeter, you know, whatever they're called, like the little voltmeters that electricians have and stuff, but I didn't have to take anything apart using this method to see what the problem was. All I had to do was take a lighted caboose and scroll it across my track section and see where I was losing power at. And then once I figured out where I was losing power at, you start unscrewing, you know, slightly unscrewing each screw in that area. Start with exactly where you're losing power, and it may just be one screw that's causing an entire section of track, like I had over here in this back corner. It may be a couple screws, but for that back corner over here, I believe it was only one screw that was causing an entire corner, like 4 or 5 pieces of track to lose power over that whole section. And people don't realize it. I've talked to people that have been in this hobby for 20 years, 30 years, and they did not know that screwing down your track and over torquing it when you're installing it and trying to make your track more permanent can cause those issues. So yeah, bus lines are a great way to prevent the loss of power over distance, but if you're running your trains and you're not losing power, like, I mean, this is a 15 by 7 foot, 8 foot wide track, and I've got 2 sections of 072 looped with 3 engines sitting on it on a 180 watt transformer with lighted cabooses and legacy features with some of the, I've got a, what is it called, the breakdown car, the hot box, Y6B, and I have not had power issues at all, and I have 0 bus lines. Now that's better for longevity, so you don't have to pull up your track, especially once you start doing scenery. I would suggest that, like, if you, especially on the far sections of your track, if you wanted to absolutely make sure that that's not an issue in the future. But it's not an issue. It hasn't been an issue. So I'm wondering how many people have had to use bus lines, thinking that the bus lines, you know, that the loss of power was just because your track layout was too big or whatever, and it not be because of, or it be because of the screws being over torqued and causing you loss of power. Unfortunately, you know, we couldn't demonstrate that here today because I had already went through and fixed it, and now that the certain sections of track that were causing that issue I have backed up on, and now the screw, that's what I think is happening. The screw doesn't have the wood material underneath the foam board that I have. It's not able to grab it as hard as it needs to be over torqued to cause that issue right here. But you know, see on your own layout. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you have a problem with your power. So see on your own layout. Take you a lighted, like I've said twice now, third time, take you a lighted caboose, lighted car, roll it across your stuff, and see if you have your power loss. So I hope this video helped you. If it did, please give it a like, comment. If you have any other ideas of what might be causing this issue outside of normal stuff, because this is just one thing that I found. There might be other things out there. And please give me a subscribe. I appreciate y'all watching.